am going to be doing this in my pajamas, and I'm not really sure if this is like a cozy vibe or an aesthetically ick vibe, but it is what it is, and it is what you're going to get. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you my November TBR. For a quick recap for last month's TBR, in October I was participating in the TBR Harvest, and specifically the Tombs and Tomes Scavenger Hunt, where each day I selected a book to read a chapter of that fit that day's scavenger prompt. I did do an entire reading vlog on this, and you'll be able to find that up in the cards and down in the description. And for November, we are going to be sticking with the Readathon vibe. I've mostly been doing that throughout this year, so why stop now? So this month, we're going to be doing the Bucket Listathon created by Danni Dabbles. I'll have a link to Danni Dabbles down in the description, as well as a link to their announcement video, their Discord, and their Google Drive. All of that will be down in the description. This readathon is meant to run over the month of November, though some people do push it out for the rest of the year and do November and December. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do in December, but for November we will be focusing on this readathon. The purpose of this readathon is to get things done, to finish up that stuff that is on your bucket list. And I think this is the perfect readathon to run into after completing the Tombs and Tomes scavenger hunt last month. Because if you've already seen that video, you know that I have something like 14 started books currently sitting on my Goodreads. I'll also have a link for my Goodreads down in the description if you are not following me there. But the purpose of the Bucket Listathon is to try to work through all those books that you have been meaning to get to. So as you know, I have all those books, plus I have my Plan to Pan books. I'll have the video I created for that back in December 24 up in the cards and down in the description. So I had 5 books on that list that I was wanting to complete, and I am yet to finish any of them. Further to that, I've also borrowed another book from a friend, and I have that sitting up here on my shelf as well to just add to my pile of unfinished books. So I'm also going to count that as physical TBR. You also will know that I have been trying to complete an advent calendar challenge, an advent calendar reading challenge, where I have 12 books that are all wrapped in pretty Christmas paper, and I'm unwrapping one every month, and my goal is to read it. You'll also know, if you've been following along on this journey, that I'm actually yet to finish any of them, though I have seriously started 2 of them so far. And I've got book number 11 here. November is actually my birthday month, so here is hoping that this one is worth the unwrap. Let's do this before we jump into my Bucket Listathon game board, and I'll give you more details for that. Okay. Ooh, I'm going to guess so far we're going to go thriller. I'm thinking that's what this is going to be. Alright, so it's Mary Higgins Clark, definitely thriller. I've got you under my skin. Okay. This one looks good. In cold blood, a window intent on. Okay, let's have a look. When Laurie Moran's husband was brutally murdered, only 3-year-old Timmy saw the face of his father's killer. 5 years later, his piercing blue eyes still haunt Timmy's dreams. Laurie is haunted by more. The killer's threat to her son as he fled the scene. Tell your mother she's next, then it's your turn. Ooh, interesting. This is definitely a good birthday month pick. I don't mind a crime thriller, though considering I don't mind them, I don't really read them all that often. So I'm looking forward to trying to get to this. So hopefully we might be able to get this onto one of our prompts for our game board. So let's go into the details on the Bucket Listathon. Similar to TBR Harvest, this readathon also has the potential for 3 different game boards, 3 different styles of play. They have a game board, a scavenger hunt, and a bucket Tetris style game, which that one is more focused on self-care and hobby activities with reading on the side rather than its main focus being reading. I love a good game board, so this month I have decided to stick with the game board. This is what the game board looks like up here. And it is one of those game boards where you can move any way you wish. The game board is also broken down into 2 different modes. We have hard mode and easy mode. I am going to try hard mode, which means we need to visit the 3 edges without going off board, which is fine by me. Off board refers to the fact that you can jump between the edges. So we're going to be trying to do that, not going off board. And repeat colors must pertain to your starting point. We are going to be starting on physical TBR, but we'll get there in a minute. And one of each color provides you with a 4-star read. That is probably the prompt, the challenge portion that I'm a little worried I might not be able to achieve, especially because I really want to focus on a lot of these TBR books that I've already started. So I'm going to be aiming to achieve that, but if I don't, I'm not really fussed. I guess that is just what it is. So grab yourself a hot beverage and join me on this roller coaster. Okay, I am going to try and take a page out of Danni Dabbles' book. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be like up in the corner, going to have like the little dice hanging out down below and my game board going on somewhere, all on the same page, all at the same time. But you can see I'm going to be looking over this way because that is where my game board is. I'm doing it electronically. I am using Canva to help with this, but as you can see, we've got physical TBR there, and I have got my little pugman Grover in his little PJs, so we're matching the vibe as our token. I might make him a little bit smaller so he's not taking up so much space. But we're starting here on physical TBR. Now, Danni has said that we have a choice of whether our starting location is a book that we choose to use as the prompt or whether we have to then come back to that prompt. I have decided to make this easy on myself. Therefore, this is going to be a prompt that I select. So our first prompt is going to be physical TBR. Hopefully I've now zoomed back out again and I am big picture. But for the prompt physical TBR, we are going to be starting with Heart of Ice by Rose Harvey. I have started this book as part of my TBR Harvest, and it is the 2nd book in a series. I so far am really enjoying it. We are following the main character here on the cover, who is a runaway, a lost princess with a dark past who is wrapped up in a war that maybe they're not ready for. This second book is obviously a continuation once we have met up with some potential allies who are going to assist our Princess Nina on her journey. This is a bit of fantasy. This is a bit of romantasy. And I'm interested to see if we end up with a love triangle style romance in book 2, or whether they are just going to double down on the romance that developed in book 1. But I have started it, like I said. I'm only a part ways in, and there is no rules associated with this game board, this readathon, about a percentage of book you've got to read within the month. So it's going to count. We are going to be counting it. So our first book on the list for physical TBR is Heart of Ice. So now for our first roll. Let's see how this goes. We are just using the dice generator that is generated by Google, and we do have a 6-sided dice. So let's see what our first roll is. Okay, so first we have a 5. That is a decent roll. So we could either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we could go down around to new release. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your pick. Or we could go 4, 5 and jump onto the book stacks. The book stacks are a random number generator that we use to select our reads. I'm not sure if I want to go there. I might go down to your pick. We have used this grey colour here, purpley grey shade. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are down onto your pick. And I'm going to head over to new release. So your pick, let's have a look. Okay, for your pick, I'm actually going to jump into my Kindle reads. So because this is a different color, it does not have to relate to my physical TBR prompt from the initial edge. We're going to jump in and continue with The Last Girls on Earth. This is book 1, Sloth, by Hayley Anderton. This book is dystopian. I have read the first 2 chapters where we followed the point of view of 2 different female characters within this dystopian world. And judging from the title of the 3rd chapter, I'm assuming that is another point of view from another female character. Like I said, it is dystopian. It's set in England, I'm pretty sure. And currently, the world has changed the rules. If you're on the low end of the poverty line, they have made it virtually impossible for you to survive. This is only quite a short read, but for the 2 chapters I've started, I was really enjoying the writing style. So I'm interested to see where book 1 goes and if I'm going to follow it in to the rest of the series. But that is going to be my pick. Your pick was technically a mood read, but I'm kind of in the mood for finishing that book. All right, let's jump to our next roll. 3. Okay, so not a large number, but we can continue on our path along. But that actually hits us 1, 2, 3 onto debut author. This one is always a little bit harder. So let's go with a debut author. I'll be back with my read. Okay, so for debut author, we are going to jump in to the book that I said I had recently borrowed from a friend. So that is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Jessia Lynn. I have been told that Jessia Lynn is a book talker, and to be honest, at sitting down to film this, I have not watched any of their content. But my friend really enjoyed this book, and I am looking forward to jumping in and reading it as well. I do enjoy the little tagline here, which says, "They told her to go to hell. She went on her own terms." So I'm looking forward to jumping in and reading this one for a debut author. Okay, so currently we have used the purpley grey colour, the deep dark orangey colour, and also this deep dark gunmetal grey colour. Let's see how we go for our next roll. So next roll is another 5. We are a bit lucky at the moment, and now that I've said that, all our luck will disappear. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can I do that? I think I can do that. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think there's any rule that says that you can't go backwards when you're going forwards, right? I haven't seen that rule. Not written down anywhere. I don't know if that's classed as cheating, but if there is no designated direction, then that should mean that I can go any direction I want. So if that is 1 step forward, 1 step back, then that is what it is. So we have officially landed on new release. Now we actually do have a slight problem. This is our second time landing on this orangey color. We landed on it over here for your pick. That means that this new release needs to come from our physical TBR, or I need to add an extra roll on top of once I reach all 3 corners. Let me see if I can actually find a new release that is a physical TBR. Does physical TBR include Kindle? Because I don't really get new books. Okay, so for new release, technically this is meant to be a TBR, physical TBR, but I cannot find a new release for physical TBR because I don't really purchase new books. So that is not going to happen, which will mean once we reach our 3rd edge, we are going to have to add 1 more roll. Because I have decided to jump on to Libby, and I am going to read an audiobook that is a new release. This is Love Stories, the Taylor's version. It's by Elizabeth Ehlberg, is I think how you say it. It is a story about 4 friends who are all named Taylor. The blurb says, 4 girls, all named Taylor, make for one unforgettable friendship. International bestseller Elizabeth Ehlberg follows 4 stories of first love, friendship, and heartbreak. The blurb definitely gives me Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants vibes. So it says here, not all friendships are forever and always. Teffy, Tay, Taylor, and TS have been best friends since middle school. As they enter their high school freshman year, relationships bring on the drama. Teffy is crushing on the boy next door who belongs to someone else. Tay finds herself down bad for a tortured poet. Things get treacherous as an older boy starts flirting with Taylor, and TS is definitely focused only on soccer and doesn't fancy her new teammate, a cute London girl, right? Suddenly, it feels like everything has changed, pulled in different directions between navigating high school and new relationships. Will their friendship be long lived, or is it so long Taylor's? Definitely Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants vibes. We've got soccer, we've got older boys, we've got relationships stretched, and we've got a character called Teffy, and there's a character in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants called Tibby. So we are kind of skirting on the edge of similarities there. I'm a huge fan of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I really enjoyed it when I first read it quite a few years ago. I'm interested to see if this gives me similar vibes, or if now, being in my late 30s, I have outgrown that style of book. But that is going to be my new release. And like I said, we are going to be adding another role. But our next role, let's go. We have a 3. So we're on our way now to try to get to series. So the easiest way is probably to just go over and around. So if we go 1, 2, 3. So this one is favorite author. But once again, we have landed on our second lot of a similar color. So we have done the dark gray color here for debut author, and we have landed on it again for favorite author. So our favorite author, and it has to be a physical TBR book. I don't think that is going to be too hard. So for favorite author, I have gone with a book that is probably a bit of a TBR veteran. You would have seen it on my TBR before. This is A Caress of Twilight by Laurel K. Hamilton. This is the second book in the Mary Gentry series, which is a series about a fae princess, Mary, who ran away from her responsibilities. She's come back again, but to become queen or something like that, she needs to get pregnant. I think that is the storyline. So it says here, Mary Gentry is in a race with her cousin for the fairy crown. Whoever bears the first child can claim the throne. But while she tests lovers to be future king, others start to die in mysterious and frightening ways. She is also a private investigator, and she is half human, half fairy. This is a very smutty ride from my understanding, and I've only just started in the Mary Gentry series. I'm a big fan of Laurel K. Hamilton for their Anita Blake series. That is where I started. Anita Blake is fantastic. I really enjoy that. And previously, I must say, especially when I was younger, I was very hesitant to jump into this because of that plot point of they had to bear a child to win the throne. That isn't something that I'm particularly interested in, having children for reasons outside of you actually wanting to have a child. So I previously pulled away from this. So book 1 is A Kiss of Shadows, and that is when we meet Mary and find out basically the main plot, and she is reintroduced to the fae. It is a little bit spicy, but it isn't as spice-ridden, I guess, as the later books tend to be. So this is the second book in the series, and I'm hopefully going to be reading this one for favorite author. And on to our next role. We got a 6. Okay, that was a good roll. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can get all the way to Libby Chicken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that is our first time getting this yellow color. So the only color we currently haven't landed on, actually we haven't landed on two, oh no, we have, is that one? No, that's that one. That is a different color. Okay, so there are two colors we haven't landed on. Sorry, we haven't landed on this light gray-ish color, and we haven't landed on this middle grayish color, if that makes sense. So we are on Libby Chicken. So Libby Chicken is a book you have a deadline for. I think in general it is a part of the Libby app, which is what my library uses for Overdrive to play ebooks through and e-audiobooks. But it's essentially a book you have a deadline for. So let me have a think about what I'm going to do for that one. Okay, so I already have a book that is currently borrowed out in Libby, and in fact, it's due in 11 days. So we have got Whiskey and Sin by Emily Rath. This is a book set in the Amigaverse. It is about a unbonded runaway Amiga, Silas, who was sold to a criminal alpha pack, and they were trying to traffic him. He manages to get away and meets up with another alpha. I am currently 18% into this book, and we have met up with the rescuer alpha, and we are going to find out if this is good for Silas or if we've just passed up on one lot of trouble for another. This book does seem to have some dark themes associated with it. And considering the Amigaverse subplot, I'm imagining there is going to be a certain level of spice the further we get into it. But so far, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm happy to be continuing with it as part of my Libby Chicken. So I think if we don't get only one spin for this next one, I'm going to have to do another lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back to land on series. So let's spin the dice and see where we go. 2, okay, great. That's not really going to work. And I don't really want to re-land on Libby Chicken, because then it has to be a physical TBR, which doesn't really work when it's something that's got a deadline. Let's 1, 2, and we're going to go Chonky Read, which gets us that other color we needed to get. So Chonky means a chunky boy, a big read. And Danni Dabbles suggests that's something over 500 pages. I've got a couple I can check. Let's see what I can find. That was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. For Chonky, we are going to be reading the first book in the clan of the Cave Bear. This is by Jean M. Ale. I think that is how it is said. Or could it be more like Jean Van Damme? I'm not really sure. But this book actually has 587 pages. So it is a bit of a chunky read, and it is definitely an older book. I don't know if you'd say it's an epic fantasy, because it is set in the last ice age, when 2 kinds of human beings, Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons, shared the earth. So this is the first book in the Earth's Children series, and I have heard a lot of good things about this. It has been recommended to me multiple times, so I would like to actually get this read. Though being chunky, it is probably going to be lower on my list for actually jumping in and getting it done. But let's jump in to our next dice roll. I think 3 is a very good number. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. We have landed on series. And because it is our 3rd time landing on this dark grey, gunmetal grey colour, we do not have to read a physical TBR. It could be something else, but I'm likely going to read something from my physical TBR. Let me see what that will be. So for series, we're going to try to finish up one of our Plan to Pan books. So this is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, and it's the first book in the Mortal Instruments series. I have started this. I'm about 30% through, and it has been on my currently reading list since like 2018. So I really need to just buckle down and get this one done. Or I need to consider, should I be DNFing it? I really enjoyed the television series, which is why I picked up the book. And I'm not sure. Is it because I was trying to read it at the same time as trying to watch the series that kind of put me off? Because this is obviously different than the series, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to read it. I'm not really sure, but I think today is the day. Now is the time. By the end of this year, I need to make a decision. Either finish this book or DNF it. Either way, a decision needs to be made. Okay, so we have now reached all corners, but I still need to land on this middle colored grey, and I do need to add one additional roll specifically because of the fact that I had to read a non-physical TBR book for new release. So we are kind of hoping that I get a 2 and this is going to be easy peasy and we land and finish up on end of year goal. But we will see how this goes. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this is our last roll. 6. That is not a 2. That is definitely not a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. We could go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. Okay. We're going to go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, that's not correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. Oh, okay. We're in a bit of a pickle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why do we keep looking at short read? That seems to be my only option here. Unless I go all the way around this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And go to connections. Or do I want short read? I guess is the question. Okay, so short read is less than 300 pages and connections is must be connected to my last read, which is obviously a little bit hard because though you select it in a certain way, you might not particularly read it in that way. I think I'm going to go with short read. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Short read. Now this is my second time landing on the yellow, which means it needs to be from my physical TBR. So 300 pages is actually a little bit hard to find. I was originally going to read The Sunday Lunch Club by Julia Ashton. This is part of my TBR Harvest because Goodreads says it's 289, but on my physical copy here, when I go to the back here, it's actually like 397.98. So this one was out because though Goodreads says it's within parameters, physically it is not in parameters for me. So eventually I did toss up whether I could class a Kindle read as a physical TBR because I had it, but I think that was kind of skirting the friendship a little there. But I've decided to go with Dark Streets. This is by Alex James and is book 1, Agents of Fear. And it is part of my Advent Calendar reading challenge. So this one is actually 289 pages. So I am going to count this one for my short read. And I feel like I am getting a lot of my reading goals onto this challenge, onto this game board. But we still need to land on the middle grey colour, this 5-star color here. So we're going to have to roll again. Hopefully this is going to be our last roll of the game. 1. Of course. Let's go to 5 stars. So for our last book on this TBR, we are going to be going with The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I'm actually reading this for a buddy read that I'm completing with a book club I have through my work. So I am reading this anyway, and I have already started it. But I am predicting that this will be a 5-star read for me. If you haven't heard of The Thursday Murder Club, it is a book set in a retirement village where 4 unlikely friends meet up on Thursdays to discuss murder. And by discuss murder, I mean investigate and potentially solve cold cases. But when a brutal killing happens right on their doorstep, they end up finding themselves working through a live case. So far, I'm about 2 chapters in, and the writing style is very interesting. That is very much the talk of our book club at the moment. They're talking about the writing style and the vibes that it brings. In fact, a couple of the readers have started listening to it via audiobook because the writing style is very conversational, and having the verbal cues that you get from an audiobook is actually making it more enjoyable for them than reading it on the page. I am enjoying reading it physically, so I'm going to continue doing so, and I'm looking forward to getting through this and discussing it more with my book club. So we have a really large reading pile for this month, and to be honest, there is no way that I'm going to finish all of these, especially considering I'm quite a slow reader. But we are going to run through them. The ones that are facing the wrong direction are my e-audio books. So we are going to try to do this in order. Starting off, we had for physical TBR, Heart of Ice by Rose Harvey. Then for your pick, which is technically a mood read, but we decided to go for which one of these will represent. Go for The Last Girls on Earth, Book 1, Sloth. Then we moved over to debut author. And for that, we are going with For For Whom the Bell Tolls by Jacia Lynn. Whew, this is getting a little bit precautious here. Then we moved over to New Release, which also one of these will be representing. And we are reading Love Stories, The Taylors. Then we went up to Favorite Author, which we have Laurel K. Hamilton with A Caress of Twilight. We then moved over to Libby Chicken, which we will say is this one here. And we are going to be reading Whiskey and Sin. We then went for Chonky, which is The Clan of the Cave Bear down here. Back up to Series, which is going to be City of Bones by Clarissa Clare. Then around to Short Read, which we have Dark Streets, Book 1, Agents of Fear. And finally, we have a 5-star prediction, which is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osmond. We have a total of 10 reads here. Like I said, we are very unlikely going to meet all of those, as I am a very slow reader, but we will give it our best shot. So as a quick recap, for the month of November, I am going to be participating in the Bucket Listathon created by Danni Dabbles, and I definitely recommend you check out their channel, all listed down below in the description. But until next time, I'm Verity. This was my November TBR, and now to the outro.